he's actually married to the fans, to all of you guys.
Please know that you are my hope.
Everyone's gone.
If you're a fan of the series and you know Leon's story, that is one through line in every single project he's ever been a part of, is he always has guilt that he can't help more people. He helps some all the time, but he can't help more. And that is such a selfless quality to have. And so, yes, that was absolutely there. And so the moment Capcom told me that we're going back to Raccoon City, we're going to revisit the RPD station of all places, right then and there, I knew that this was going to be a fun challenge as an actor, because I knew what to bring in automatically. I knew what that was going to mean to him. I knew already that this guy is going to hesitate before he opens those doors to the RPD station, because that's where it all began for him. That started his character arc 30 years ago. So yes, he's got that survivor's guilt, and I think he also used this story to kind of face those demons and kind of find that inner peace after all this time. Kind of had to be that way for him.
That was a creative decision on your end, or was that in the script?
It might have been in the script, but I was going to do it anyways. There has to be that. There's so much gravity with all of those scenes, and so much so that even as a fan, the first time I played the game a little over a month ago, my brother, I was playing this with my little brother, and we flipped a coin to see who got whose character. So he got Leon's character, so he played the whole game as Leon, and I played the whole game as Grace. And I thought that was fitting. So when he got to the RPD station, he was about to enter, and I was like, David, hold on a second. And I had to breathe, and I held his shoulder. He's like, what's up? And I was like, just hold on. Okay, go.
We're going in.
I needed to kind of poise myself, and prepare myself. And so that's what I mean. It's like I understood it as a fan, not only as an actor.
Grace Ashcroft.
Yes? And when I first thought about how I would prepare for Grace, I just really believed that relying on the truth of every scene was the most important thing, as it is with any character that you approach and play. But specifically with Grace, she's sort of a everyday girl thrown into a crazy situation. And even though she is different to me in some ways, we do have a lot of similarities. And I thought, imagine if you, as Angela, were thrown into seeing your mother decapitated in front of you, thrust into a haunted, terrifying hospital, flipped upside down and drained of all your blood. And I think that's where that fear obviously kept creeping in or overwhelming her. And a big part of Grace was her breath. And I remember thinking her physicality was quite different to me. She sort of held herself a bit more inward, and she was more contained. She kind of didn't like to look at people in the eye. So I really thought a lot about the physicality, but the breath was a big part of it, because Grace obviously stutters a lot. She has palpable anxiety, but she really, in every single scene, she's being chased by something, she's just scared all the time. And so breath work was really important. Before we would film or do our T-pose, I would just kind of channel that breath, or we would, do jumping up and down squats or run around the sound stage and that kind of stuff. And I will also say with Grace, I remember in the beginning, I looked at the other women in the franchise, and I very quickly realized there was nothing I could copy, in a good way. I had to really create something that was entirely my own. But I did, in order to get the tone right, I watched a lot of gameplay. I kind of drew inspiration from the other women too. And yeah, I sort of just dove into RE4 and RE7 to get that slow creeping horror tone, which Capcom really wanted to bring into this game. I watched a lot of this guy, So there were different ways of preparation, and then luckily they all blended together quite well.
always been a very physical guy, a physical performer, action actor. That's what got me this role in the first place 10 years ago, was because I could move like a cop. I had a stunt background. And so for me, I have to feel very connected to my body. So if call time was 7 a.m. an hour away, I would be up at 4 a.m. at the gym, stretching, breathing, waking up my body, waking up my mind, so that when I show up to set, it's like I just came from a mission and I'm alive, ready to go. And I have to feel like that when I play a guy like this. It's a very physically demanding role. As you know, this stuff is, it takes a lot out of you. So I have to be ready. And then on set, yes, you kind of get the blood flowing a little bit depending on the scene that you're filming. Sometimes you gotta come in hot. So I will run around, do some stretches on set, do some push-ups, do some heavy breathing to get connected, grounded. And then for a voice, to affect it a little bit, to get that gravel in there, I'll do some voice exercises and just get in there so we're ready to go, So that's what I do.
For me, as Angela, I'm a journaler. I journal every morning. So I didn't do it every day, but on the days that I was maybe doing slightly more challenging scenes, I would journal as Grace about how I was feeling. And I would sort of write how I was supposed to feel in that scene. And it kind of just helped me get into like her subconscious a bit better. I also just always, with any job, I do a full physical warm-up and a vocal warm-up, especially because Grace's physicality is different to mine and her voice is slightly higher, breathier. Again, the breath was such a big part of Grace. So, I would do my stretches and I would do my, breathing exercises and just get it really going before a take, especially in takes where, like the one with Alyssa, where I need to be feeling anxious or getting ready to sort of cry. I just always believe that if you pretend that you're feeling a certain way, it will come. And maybe this isn't very healthy, but if you need to feel anxious or portray that, you kind of just make your body start to breathe the way that you do when you're anxious, and it just kind of then comes much more naturally once you're in the scene. So that was sort of what I would do. And I'd just have a little quiet moment before and have a cup of tea.
See, I didn't know that you journaled.
I'm a journaler.
But isn't it important to incorporate some of you into a character, even if it is secret?
Yes.
I didn't know you journaled until right now. Yeah. But you bringing that into the character secretly, and it just connects you more to this fictional person. Mm-hmm. And then for me, it's like, getting into the workouts and just feeling extremely physical, showing up to set, like that gets me right there. Yeah. And I think that's so important.
It makes you more present, which I think
so.
Is the most important thing.
Requiem was different than Resident Evil 2 Remake and 4 Remake because it was new territory. It was not a reimagining of something that's already been told. So I actually relied really heavily on Capcom and our performance director, Kate, this time around, because we needed to make sure that we were shaping the right version of this character of Leon, where they wanted him to go. I wanted Kate to really keep me honest with the performance because he was dealing with quite a bit. On my end, I was considering everything that character has been through in his 30-year existence as a fictional character, because there were games that I wasn't even a part of. There were CGI films. There's a lot of lore that's been written for this guy. So I had to take everything into consideration, and this is the oldest iteration we've ever seen of the guy, so it is a lot of new stuff, and I just wanted to stay true to the character with everything that I knew. So I would say that is probably the most challenging version of him that I've ever played. But I'm really happy with how he's come out. It's really special to see that.
All right.
But working with Kate, she's
amazing.
Kate is phenomenal. She has such a good vision, and my favorite part about working with her is like us finding, like, every single scene was seeing what was on the script, trying it out and then working together to try to make it even better.
So
and just
much
say,
better.
how do we smooth this out? How do we really punch this moment, make this impactful? And we would just all work together in rehearsals, which I love the rehearsals. And we just all found the scene together. But that was my favorite process, I think, working in cinematic producer from Japan as well. So we all just worked as a big cohesive team.
And she was so good at bringing detail into every scene. There were moments, one I remember in particular, where Jane and I are walking through the Wrenwood Hotel in the flashback. And it's obviously pitch black, dark. We have our flashlights. And we did the scene 1 or 2 times. And then I remember Kate just goes, you know what we're going to do? We're going to turn out all the lights. And she just turned the entire set into a blackout. It was literally pitch black.
The volume?
And the volume was pitch black.
Oh, I didn't even
and
know
we
that.
just had the light from our helmets.
That's crazy.
But it added this tension to the scene that we wouldn't really have been able to capture without that darkness. So she just has this brilliant way of elevating a scene. Another one, which I thought was fantastic, because I remember thinking about that scene and going, how are we going to wobble the way that we need to?
The wobble board.
The wobble board.
This is
So
good.
she just came up with this idea with Imaginarium Studios, who are also fantastic. They're the loveliest team. And she goes, we're going to create a wobble board, which is essentially just a board on, I suppose, wheels, or I don't know how they built it, but it allowed us to perform on this moving platform. And we knew that we would then have to ADR all of the lines, but Kate really cared that the physicality was
Real.
believable and real and natural. So we performed the whole scene on this wobble board, and we're all kind of shaking around.
And it was fun.
It was so fun. It was a great time. But that's kind of the attention to detail that Kate brings to motion capture performance. And I really believe that without her, the game wouldn't have been what it is. She's amazing.
Yeah, we love Kate.
What is this?
First thing I filmed, I remember seeing it on the call sheet. It might have been like the second thing I filmed, but it was
The gun?
the first
gun?
day. Oh no, it was me upside down, being
my
drained of all
God.
my blood.
Yes.
And I remember thinking, whew, being thrown into the deep end here. And I'm so glad that it was on the first day, because it was so high stakes and terrifying, and sort of also included stunts in one way or another, because I was actually put upside down, and I had the Imaginarium team holding my legs and kind of strapping my arms down, and we got very close. So that was my first scene that we filmed. And I do remember thinking with the Capcom team going, God, I really got to get this right. Like, I've really got to impress them on this one, because if I don't do well, who knows what's going to happen. But that was also one of my favorite scenes to film. I think because I just love those moments where you go, would I ever get the chance to do this again? I'm being hung upside down and drained of all my blood, you know?
And I remember sitting on the sidelines on the couch watching the scene play out.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, ooh, this girl's in for it. They're going to give her a run for her money in this role, but she kicked butt.
Thank you.
I think the first scene that we tackled with Leon, I think, was with you in the hallway when I kill the girl for the first time.
Yes, you're right.
And I think the first time I ever met Grace as a character. And then we have the bar shut in between us. We have that scene. I give her Requiem. I think that was the first thing I filmed.
You know what I remember? That is true, because I remember thinking, it's so great that the first time Nick and I are really performing together
Is the time we meet
is
as
the
characters.
time Grace and Leon meet.
Yes. And I think Kate did that intentionally.
She probably did. Knowing Kate, she probably
Yeah,
did.
exactly. And Victor was there too. Victor Gideon, played by Tony Byrne.
Amazing.
We love Tony. And I remember being so uneasy playing against that guy. And he was just finding the character at that point. They were playing Kate and Tony were playing with a lot of different things. He's a very accomplished theater actor, character actor, and he's brilliant. And they were just finding these creepy mannerisms, and I was so off put by his performance, and that's a compliment to him.
Yeah.
I would, after we said cut every time, I would giggle. I would turn around and be like, Tony, you're killing me over here.
Like the nervous
I can't.
giggle.
It was like a nervous giggle. And I said, that's going to be one heck of a character.
One of the best bits in it actually comes from him, where Grace is hiding, watching him. He's walking, and he laughs.
I've done it.
Oh, I remember that bit so well because he just did that in one of the takes, and Grace goes, I actually react to it. You know, it was a terrifying bit. So
Which
good.
is funny because Tony's such a lovely guy.
So nice.
He's so nice, but he plays great characters.
Yeah.
It's also great that the first time you met in character is the Requiem moment, because that's a real moment that the fans pick up on because of how, not silly, but like the fact that there's this obviously scared woman, and then Leon gives her the biggest gun in
That's
the world.
really heavy.
With one bullet.
Yeah.
We've seen the memes online. It's
Yeah, we have.
pretty funny.
Hi, it's me. I'm right here. You okay? You okay?
That's another one of my favorite scenes, simply because watching Emma Rose
No.
Kriener, who's a fabulous actress, physically transform was brilliant. I mean, she did all the motion capture for that moment,
Yes, she did.
which people need to know because it was just so great. And that was one of those scenes where I journaled a lot about my connection to Emily, and also how Emily, to me, is sort of the heart or the emotional arc of Grace's story. She's obviously lost her mum, and she hasn't felt close to anyone else in a very long time. And Emily is someone that she kind of lets into her emotional world for the first time since losing her mum. She cares for her. She feels a sense of duty to protect her and to not let her down. And she carries this immense sense of guilt for what happened to her mom under her watch, you know, in front of her, and she couldn't stop it. And so then when she loses Emily, it's something so much greater for Grace. It's losing Emily. It's the guilt that she's letting someone else down again. It's just Emily just represents sort of this future for Grace. And then when she loses it, it feels like everything is crumbling down. So I really love that scene. But yes, in terms of preparation, it was a lot of just writing about what Emily meant to me and feeling this duty to protect this young girl. I was really looking forward to all of the very emotional scenes, just because they're the most challenging, and we could really sink our teeth into them, but also the stunt bits, like the one where Leon comes and rescues Grace when the girl is attacking her, and I kind of get thrown against a wall and all that sort of stuff. I was most excited to dive into. I was oddly very excited to do the scene with Alyssa when she dies, despite also being a little nervous to do it. But yeah, all those very high stakes moments, I was really pumped for.
Yes, those are always fun. The action scenes are fun. And just, I gotta say something about that. She had a lot of emotional scenes that I was there to witness, fortunately, on the sidelines. And I just can't believe how consistent you were, just take after take after take. Usually with scenes like that, the really heavy ones, I'm really good for like 2 to 3. This girl's doing like 12, 13 takes sometimes to get the technical aspects like perfect, remember?
Yeah.
And just I just couldn't believe it. I don't know how you do it.
Thank you.
Moving on. I really enjoy the emotional scenes, but even the ones that are subtle. And so I think my 2 favorite scenes are when we're in the dump yard, and I kind of wake up and come to, and she's taking care of me. And I kind of just spill my guts about why I'm here, why I'm pushing through the sickness. And I thought that was pretty pivotal for the plot, for his character, just to explain his motivations to someone who doesn't really know him, right? And then the other scene that I really, really enjoyed was revisiting Kendo's courtyard from RE2 Remake, because in my mind, that scene with Kendo when he puts down his daughter, he has to make that hard decision. That was a very pivotal scene in RE2, and Leon says a bunch of things to Ada that I think encompasses his entire character. It's everything that he is when he says, whatever it takes to save this city, count me in.
Mm-hmm.
That's who I am. I'm here to save the day. I want to do what's right. And then, the guilt that he couldn't save them. And now he's revisiting that courtyard, and he's having these memories from 30 years ago, and he probably has, he probably jumps right back into his younger self right at that moment. And so there wasn't even a lot of dialogue, but scenes like that are always my favorites because you can say quite a bit without words.
And then they brought it back, that line, and I say, whatever it takes, count me in. And I thought that was really beautiful. I also loved the scene that we did where, well, two of them. I don't know if I'm allowed to say, but one of the endings where I'm screaming for you. Because you can see how much Leon has had an impact on Grace. There's this budding friendship, mentorship, again, this level of care that Grace now has for this person that she's met and sort of somewhat bonded with in this crazy situation. But then also the scene where we're at the very end, where we're alone, and they all arrive, they all like parachute down, remember? And we're sat in the dark.
Yeah.
And there's this sense of, okay, we're in this together, in the good and in the bad. And I thought that was a really beautiful, like you said, subtle moment.
I know now that you're the one that I've been searching for. The special one. The chosen one. Miss Ashcroft.
I didn't think about where Grace was gonna go in her future, but I knew where I wanted her to end up at the end of the game. I knew very clearly where I wanted her to begin and who I wanted her to be at the end. And that was someone whose sort of trust in people or humanity is restored a bit in meeting Leon, who's such a kind, good protector, good overall human. And then also this awareness that, you can care for someone again and love someone again. And even in loss, surely loss is painful, but you at least get the opportunity to love someone. And I think she has that with Emily. And I also wanted Grace to end the game going, wow, I did that. I never thought I could do something like that. And I did it. And I survived. And I think just that element of confidence that she gains from going through something traumatic and surviving, she is inherently a survivor and she has survived again. That's where I wanted her to end. And it might be subtle in a way, but I do think, if she goes on, she'll carry that little element of confidence with her. She will always be scared. I think she will always be the everyday person who would be terrified in that situation. I don't think she'll be a Leon, especially with combat and all that, but she'll have that inner sense of confidence and that ability to sort of draw on her intelligence and her analytical skills more clearly by being able to sort of self-regulate her anxiety a bit better. So that's really where I wanted her to end up.
And I actually have thought about this quite a bit, and I think Leon just needs a little vacation after this, and I could see him opening up a little ice cream shop and just working at a little corner store and just serving ice cream.
Sounds pretty good. Grace will stop by.
very, very simple.
With his wife.
There we go.
See, yeah.
Who's that?
Do you know who?
Yes, I actually do. Yes, and he's actually married to the fans, to all of you guys. Yeah.
Fantastic answer. Yeah.
That's safe.
Yeah.
Well, the road's gone. You'll have to find another way around.
All right. I'll leave that to you.
Resident Evil has been in my life for 28 years. That's a long time. Over half my life. And it's just very special to be a part of it after 10 years of collaborating with Capcom. And Requiem kind of encompasses so much of what these games have been about for the past 3 decades. Kind of takes the best parts of all of them, mashes them into this game. It's just really special to be a part of this one.
I feel the same. It's so special to be a part of such a epic franchise. When I first got the job, I had never really played the game, but I was obviously aware of the impact the franchise has had. And for me, it was just so exciting because it was also the first chance I had to play a character that was quite far from myself, but also a very new type of heroine. And Grace was a big challenge for me that I just felt so pumped to sort of dive in to the world and to do horror, because I hadn't had the opportunity to do horror yet. The best horror there is.